Permits may feel like red tape, but they're actually your insurance policy for ensuring safety and compliance. My name's Ken.
And I'm Dave, and we're with the Wilson & Company team. And this is one of our expert videos, and we're going to talk about why permits are important for a project. Think of permits as your passport at the airport. You can have your luggage packed, your ticket in hand, but without that stamp of approval on that passport, you are not going anywhere. And that's the same is true with construction projects. There are many types of permits out there that we deal with. The most common ones for commercial construction projects are going to be a building permit. There's going to be a fire permit. No matter what, there is always going to be fire involved. The electrical, mechanical, plumbing, sprinkler, low voltage. There's many permits that actually build out to get even those unique subs that come on the project. So it's important to keep that in mind, that as you're applying and as you're getting ready to get this project kicked off, to know which types of permits are going to be necessary and what those steps are going to be to get them approved.
Yeah, another piece of that is, safety and compliance, right? You want to ensure that your space meets code from a safety perspective, but also a compliance perspective, right? Obviously, the functionality of a clinic or a business is important to the operational need. But when you're inviting the public into your space, I think even more so, it's important to ensure their safety in your operation, right? So the different things that sometimes cause problems through the approval process can be a big pain. It can cause some delays. It can also increase your scope of work, therefore increasing your pricing. But the majority of time is these compliance issues or these codes are in place for a reason, and they're there to protect the general public. You'll notice from commercial to residential, things get a lot more lax, right? Commercial is much more heavy in terms of the safety and compliance versus residential. And the reason being is you're inviting the public into your space, therefore you have a higher obligation to ensure safety.
Yeah, and permits can seem like nuisances at times. Like, why do I have to go get a permit for adding a wall? Or why do I have to go get a permit for changing around the fire sprinkler design? But all these things the biggest thing it has to do with is life safety. And then it comes back to if your permit is not approved and you start work, or you don't even apply for a permit, then you can get shut down. The project can get fined, and they'll fine up to 2 or 3 times the value of that initial permit. And what's worse is now your project is red taped. Mm-hmm. So now you have additional challenges that you're going to have to face to get that project completed because you've pissed off the building department by not applying for the right permits. So knowing what to apply for, again, knowing where those challenges are going to be within the permitting system. And usually they're well defined and they're clearly spelled out with what you need to do to get through them. And the other thing is there is one of our favorite vendors to work with is Permit Expediters, third-party reviewers, third-party inspectors, because they can help with working through that process in a much smoother fashion than even if we're doing it. That's all they do every day. And many times they have previous and retired building officials on staff, so they know what's going to be necessary and what's going to be the smoothest process to get that completed.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, there's the liability there is not only on the general contractor. I will say that the general contractor should be pushing those conversations because they're the expert in the field, right? That's what they're hired for. They should be the ones establishing, okay, this needs a permit, this doesn't need a permit, we need to go through this process, et cetera, right? But the liability doesn't just stop with the general contractor. Sure, our license can get put on the line. Sure, some fines can come to us, and they do come to us, not necessarily the business. But additionally, to Dave's point, they can shut your business down. and they can cause a whole lot of pain to the owner of a business, of a property, for not going through the proper channels. And regardless of what you think of it, right, wrong, or indifferent, it is the right thing to do, because again, they're in place to ensure code compliance, and mainly those codes are written for safety. So just understanding that it is a shared liability, and therefore it should be a shared effort, right? And understanding what needs to happen, who needs to review this, and what kind of permits need to be in place before commencing work.
Yeah, so always ask your GC for that roadmap of what it's going to look like to lay out the permitting process. They'll have a better idea of the jurisdiction and their timelines that they're going to take. Most times, these jurisdictions, building departments, they're willing to work with you. So they want to push these permits through. They don't want it piling up on their desk. So reach out to them, have that communication. We like to have that the more communication we have with the building departments, the better. And have an inspection plan too for what that process is going to look like. The building department will give you the list of inspections they'll need to call in. So that will help guide how that's going to affect your project. What are your key milestones to get to those points? So understanding this process and working with somebody who can help guide that will make your project go a whole lot smoother than if you didn't have this in place. So thank you for tuning in to another expert video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to help answer those questions for you, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cool.